Assalamu alaikum and welcome to INX Prime. I am Nazia Wadee.
I am Zarif Minty.
And I am Emuna Mabena.
Together we are going to be bringing you some amazing content on today's show, and on Wednesdays we have the pleasure of speaking to some incredibly motivating people and incredible authors. And to kick off today's show, I'm going to be speaking to Mr. Nkosi, who is from Mpumalanga, who has spent his life really uplifting others. He is an author of multiple very successful novels and is absolutely dedicated to and committed to uplifting people around him with the work that he does in communities as well as with his novels. So definitely stay tuned for that a little bit later in the show. Good evening, viewers, and welcome back to Prime Live. Today we have the honor of welcoming an extraordinary individual, a beacon of inspiration and empowerment. Mthokozisi was born and bred in the vibrant landscapes of Mpumalanga Province, South Africa. Now his journey embodies resilience, determination, and an unwavering commitment to uplifting others. As a prolific author and captivating motivational speaker, his words resonate deeply, touching the hearts and minds of countless individuals worldwide. His book spans over a diverse array of topics, from personal growth to self-improvement to leadership, as well as overcoming obstacles. Titles such as Step Out of Your Comfort Zone, Take a Risk, and The Imperfect Father stand as testaments to his profound insight and wisdom. He joins us this evening to tell us more about some of his incredible work and initiatives. Good evening and welcome to INX Prime.
Good evening. It feels good to be here and looking forward to this moment. This is Mthokozisi Nkosi, the author and speaker, and great to be here with you today.
Thank you so much for joining us. Your journey from the townships of Volksrust to becoming a globally recognized author and a motivational speaker is incredibly inspiring. Can you share with our viewers this evening some of the pivotal moments or experiences that really shaped your path and your journey?
Thank you, Aisha. My journey began in the year 2009. That was after I had been staying in Volksrust with my mother, and then my dad came to take us, me and my sister, to stay with him in Tembisa. But then in the year 2009, I had just been accepted into a leadership program by a company called Safco Penalpina, which has changed its name now to Bidvest International Logistics. So on that year, because my father was not there for us when we grew up in Volksrust and Bergdekop, me and my sister. So I grew up with a lot of resentment towards him. So as I grew older, you know, when you pump a balloon with too much helium, eventually it will blow up. And then my balloon blew up that day when my father lied to his then girlfriend that he was always there for us. But me, I was remembering all the hate, all the struggles that I've been through, all the poverty that I grew up in. And then I disagreed with him. When I disagreed with him, he didn't take that lightly. And that's when he decided to disown me and kick me out of his place. When he disowned me, I stayed for a couple of days. But then there was this little voice inside my head that kept on telling me that, Mtho, this man told you that you are no longer his son. What are you doing? So when this voice did that, I listened to that voice. Then after a couple of weeks, I decided to move from my father's place. So I walked into an empty room, and then I remember carrying nothing but my bag full of clothes, and walked into that room with my heart full of hope. And that was the beginning of my journey before I even became an author. So that was the beginning of my journey. I started working for Bidvest. As I worked for Bidvest, and then I started realizing that a lot of people were working at jobs that they didn't like. And I took someone's chair from his desk, and then they walked into the office and demanded that chair. So I didn't know how is that person able to see that the chair belongs to them. Then I asked him, why are you saying this is your chair? And then that guy told me, you can't tell me which one is my chair and which one is not my chair, because I had been working in this company for 10 years, more than you have been here. So then I remembered something that Jim Rohn said. He said, it only takes a year to master a job. And so after that, if you have not read any books, if you have not developed yourself, you have not grown, you are still the same person. Remember, he said it takes only a year. Once you master the job, the following year, that means you don't have 10 years work experience. You have 10 years work experience repeated 10 times. And that sort of like blew my mind. And in 2016, October, I decided to resign from my job to pursue my dream of becoming an author and a motivational speaker. And that's who I am today. And I was afraid. I had that fear. What would I do if I fail? What would I do if this doesn't work out? But then my dream was pushing me so hard that I had to ignore that fear of failure and focus ahead on where I want to go. And that was the beginning of my journey.
That's absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. Your story is incredibly inspiring, and in you sharing your story, I know that it will uplift, motivate, and inspire a lot of other people who are watching you right now to reach for their goals no matter the difficulty that life is throwing at them. Now, I also want to talk more about your books. Your books cover a wide range of topics, each that are aimed at really empowering individuals to embrace change, take risks, and as well as leading fulfilling lives. What inspired you to embark on this literary journey, and how do you hope that your words will impact the people who end up reading these books?
My personal mantra in life is believe you can, then act on it, and you will achieve anything you set your mind to. But most people, they stay stuck on the believing part. Believe in yourself, and that's what most books teach. Believe in yourself. Once you believe in yourself, then all your dreams will come true. There is no magic formula. The magic formula, and the one thing that is missing, is that you must act on what you believe. Because once you begin to act on what you believe, you'll be able to reach your highest potential. Because at the end of the day, you will not see any progress and you will not move forward if you stay stuck believing in yourself. Like what most people do, they just sit and they stay comfortable, which is why I ended up writing a book titled Step Out of Your Comfort Zone and Start Living Your Dream. That's why I added the Start Living Your Dream after, because my book started as a speech in a Toastmasters club, because I grew up as a quiet and shy person, and I was afraid of public speaking. Anything that involved an audience, a big audience, I would get up on stage and start shaking. I know most people know that feeling. But then one day there was an English teacher at my school in Tembisa, Boitumelong Senior Secondary School, Mem Makena. She took me to a speech contest in Albertine, where I had to compete with all these Model C kids, and I was from the township at Tembisa. I didn't get first place then, but I got third place. But that inspired me to go on, and I realized that I can achieve anything I set my mind to if I act on it. And then in 2015, I took another speech contest in Toastmasters International, and that one I won and got first place. So believing in yourself without action will not get you to where you want to go. At the end of the day, it's the people who move that grow all the time. If you don't move, you don't grow. You will stay stuck and you will never see or experience any progression in your life. You only experience progression when you move. And that's how you step out of your comfort zone.
No, that's very, very true. And that's some incredible advice that you have shared there. I really commend you on your accolades and achievements, especially when it comes to motivational speaking and public speaking. I know that it's something that a lot of people are incredibly intimidated by. But I think through your example, we can absolutely learn that anything is possible when you believe in yourself, like you have said. Now, I want to talk more about your book, Take a Risks. It is one of your acclaimed titles. Can you elaborate on the significance of the concept and as well as the personal growth and development aspect of your book?
Okay, Take a Risk is actually a sequel to Step Out of Your Comfort Zone, because in step out of your comfort zone, I remember when I published the book, an HR executive at the company I used to work for, the company I resigned from, once called me into his office and they bought 5 copies of my book. After reading my book, he saw that in my book, I was encouraging people to follow their dreams. I was encouraging people to do what they love and love what they do and stop working at jobs that they hate. And then I told him, no, I'm not saying people must leave the business, because he was afraid they were buying my book. And then he asked me, if we buy these copies for our employees, won't we lose those employees because of the message that's in the book? And then I told him, in my book, I'm talking about me. I'm not talking about anyone else, because that's how I felt. I felt I needed to pursue my dream in order for me to grow. But somebody else might feel different, because they might actually love their job and they want to grow within the job that they are doing, because it's their passion. So that's when I came up with the idea to write Take a Risk. Take a risk. It says take a risk, how to step out of your comfort zone and thrive in the workplace. Hence, I added the workplace, because that one is talking to people who are working at jobs that they love. Because there are people who love their jobs but are not growing. And all because they have neglected the most important aspect in success, and that is working on yourself. Again, I'm going to quote another quote from Jim Rohn, which says, you should focus more on working on yourself than you do on your job. And that's when you will grow. And that is called personal development. So Take a Risk stems from that. You can do your job and you can do a lot of things to grow. For you, you can take a course that you've always been afraid to take. You can even apply for a position that you don't even qualify for, because you've got the experience. You've been working in this business for 10 years or 20 years. That means you can actually do the job. But some people get hindered by the fact that they don't have the qualifications, and now they get overtaken by all these young people. You've been working in the business for years, but somebody else new comes, and the next thing they are your supervisor or your manager. So you need to take a risk so that you can thrive in the workplace and thrive in the job that you love. That's where it stems from.
I think that's some incredible advice. I think we all have become way too comfortable with our comfort zones, and you don't grow within those comfort zones. Like you say, you have to take a risk in order to grow. You have to want more for yourself, and you have to want to achieve more. Whether that means doing what you did and completely going in a completely different direction in terms of your job and what you do to follow your passions, or whether you are already in a position where you are passionate about your job, but like you said, you're stuck and you're not growing. And taking that risk is definitely that next step to help you get there and continue to grow, because as individuals, we have to always be dedicated to personal growth, and we have to consistently be growing and learning and changing every day. Another book of yours that has made incredible impact in the world is titled The Imperfect Father. Now, that strikes a chord with many individuals who are trying to navigate the complexities of parenthood. Could you please delve into the inspiration behind this book, as well as sharing some insights on embracing imperfection in relationships as well as in family dynamics as well?
That's great. I like these books because they all connect in a way. Remember the story I told you at the beginning of this interview, Uti? I was disowned by my father, and he kicked me out of his place and said I was no longer his son, and that my father had not been there for us, and he had been an absent father. So that book comes from the fact that in 2015, my father passed away. And when my father passed away, I began to realize, because I had just had my first son, Lwazi. His name is Lwazi, because I have 2 sons, Lwazi and Bandile. So I realized that now that I have my own sons, I could be the one making the same mistakes that my dad made to my sons. So I made a commitment that I will always be there, and I will commit to being present in my kids' lives, because I understand that God created us as imperfect. So we need to be imperfect in our own imperfections. So my father was not perfect. He had his flaws, and I needed to forgive him so that we can have another relationship or build our relationship again. So that's where the imperfect father stems from that story of me being disowned by my father. and me finding myself by stepping out of my comfort zone. I always say that if my dad didn't disown me, if my father didn't kick me out of his place, I wouldn't be the Mthokozisi Nkosi that you see today. This person wouldn't have risen or wouldn't have been born if my father had not kicked me out that day, and if I had not listened to that voice inside my head telling me to move and step out of my comfort zone so I can start living my dream. So that's where the imperfect father comes from. And imagine, I want you to imagine this. Imagine when you drop a bowl and then it breaks into small pieces. What would you normally do with that bowl? You would basically throw it away, pick the pieces up and throw it away. There's a Japanese art form called kintsugi. With kintsugi, you pick up those broken pieces and you mend them with liquid gold, therefore giving them golden scars. And the lesson in there is that there is beauty in broken things. Even us, men, a lot of us are broken, but we don't know that. But if we embrace our own imperfections, instead of running away from the responsibility of fatherhood and making a commitment that we will always be present, whether our pockets are empty or our pockets are full, because I feel most men run away from that responsibility because they are broke and they think the only way to provide for their kids is through material things and money. But you being there, that's why chapter 2 of my book, The Imperfect Father, says the greatest gift you can give, love. Your love and your presence is all that your kids need, and they need a present father. And that is an imperfect father who embraces his imperfections.
I really, really admire the sentiments you have shared just now, and I think it's incredibly inspiring for anyone who has listened to this interview today. And I think what you've shared and what will really stay with me from what you've shared is that sometimes the things in your life that push you to the end or your very limit, those horrible moments in your life, those very difficult circumstances, are your opportunity to grow and change from that. And you've absolutely used your circumstances to really make the world a better place, to make your world a better place for yourself and your children, and for everyone who has the opportunity to read your novels and attend some of your motivational talks as well. But we thank you so much for joining us this evening, for sharing your journey, for being vulnerable with us this evening, for sharing your journey, the ups and downs of your journey, and really motivating and inspiring us this evening.
Thank you. It was really great to be here.
Viewers at home, that was Mr. Nkosi. He shared an incredible life journey that was filled with ups and downs, difficult circumstances, and how he used his platform, how he used his motivation and his self-belief to get through, to pursue further, and to continue to achieve his dreams. I think we can take a lot of motivation and inspiration from his journey and the difficulties he had to overcome and the success he achieved from it as well. But on that note, it is time for us to take an ad break, and we'll come right back.
سلامي أتى يروي كل القلوب